Time to talk about Scream 3. It's where we get a Ghostface who's rewriting the Stab 3 script, which is a reflection of this movie, actually. We get a Ghostface that's blowing up condos in the Hollywood Hills. We get two Gale Weathers. We get less graphic cutaway, terrible death scenes because of the backlash from the Columbine killings where everyone was paranoid. And I can remember around when this came out, I was 13, middle school. And it's that age where I remember some kids spoiled it. I'm doing this review as in I'm doing it as expecting that you've seen the film, so I'm going to talk spoilers here and there. So this kid spoiled the film. He was like, yeah, it's Sidney's brother. And it's at that age where you're like, if you saw the Titanic, you bragged about like seeing Kate Winslet's tits. Or if you saw R-rated movies, you like bragged about what happened in them. So yeah, he totally spoiled it for me when I was in 7th grade. I'll never forget that. And then, so it was going to go back to Woodsboro. Everyone's heard the story. But what ended up happening is Kevin Williamson, the writer, creator of Scream, ended up dropping out because he was really busy at the time. And they brought in Aaron Kruger, one of my other favorite writers from Hollywood. He went on to write The Skeleton Key, The Ring adaptation, The Ring and The Ring 2. But now he's just been working on like Transformers and stuff, but he also did Reindeer Games, which is an awesome film if you've never seen it, an action thriller. Anyway, and what they say is he wasn't even really that familiar with the characters and had to really be like rewrite the whole script before production started. None of the stars even really wanted to be there or were too busy. It almost feels like Wes Craven wasn't even on set, although they said that he had to guide Aaron Kruger on the script in rewrites. Like, no, that's not what the character would say. And so then we get two Gale Weathers, which couldn't be more terrible. So they focused on the satiric humor in the script, and you could totally tell. And then the whole setting is Hollywood, and we get 100% Cotton talk show in the opening scene. Here's another thing that really sucks and why people hate it the most out of the franchise. Because, alright, I lost my train of thought. Oh wait, yeah. The voice recorder, Roger L. Jackson, is really underutilized. And what they did to throw a kink into things and to change things up and make it more unpredictable as to who the killer is, the voice recorder, once it records your voice, that's how they do it if you haven't picked up on it. Like, after he could get a clip of your voice and he records it, he could talk through it as that person's voice, as Sidney's voice, as Dewey's voice. Oh, so they didn't go back to Woodsboro. That sucks. And they were going to have Stu Macher, as you might have heard, come back, and he was going to be surviving in prison and orchestrating it all from prison. But then, as we all know, we end up getting Roman, the director and writer of Stab 3, who was the spawn of a 70s Hollywood sex party. And he's like the most dramatic character, even though it's full with like actors in the cast. It's still a pretty good script. It's still pretty snappy. I think it would have been a lot better with Kevin Williamson at the time, but love both the writers still. And this is also one where we get like the only bit of kind of supernatural elements to the series, where we get Sidney's mom basically zombified, and she pulls and it's like straight out of the 1971 Giallo film where the night Evelyn came out of the grave, where she's like at the windowsill stepping out of her crypt. Yeah, it gets pretty ridiculous at times. And then it's notorious for they were even rewriting it like while the scenes were just being added and rewritten on the days of production constantly throughout the shoot. Scene 50, Dewey saves the day. A nice little nugget, though. One positive things that you could say. I still enjoy the film, and a lot of those Scream fans still enjoy it, but they also consider it the weakest out of the franchise because it is. Anyway, the Randy video was a nice nugget. I was reading up that they were going to bring him back. They were going to say that he was surviving his injuries in solitude, Sidney style. Sidney's a crisis helpline, and you're like, oh my god. How typical. Oh, you're like the Ricky character. He's like, it's probably some psycho fan pissed that they killed off Randy's character and stabbed too. That shit's hilarious. I think I pretty much went over everything. And Scream is like totally like set in real times. It's not like there is props. Like they never do props. So when they stab them, it's just like realistically like if someone got stabbed. So it's of the times. And they make you think Kincaid. I think they should bring back Kincaid's character for Scream 5 and possibly weave him in as part of the killer. Because they totally use him as a red herring. And what the hell is he doing at Sidney's house in the country with popcorn in the middle of the day? Oh, he's recovering from his injuries, I guess. Anyway, let's talk about the good parts. Roman, still a good character. Not that great of an actor. The guy who played him, Scott Foley, really didn't end up doing anything. He's just like has sparse parts here and there on TV or whatnot. Anyway, let's get on to the ending, the good parts. You gotta love the line where he's got Milton, the producer, Lance Hendrickson, with a knife at the throat, and he's just like, all right, Roman, I'll give you anything. Script approval, final cut. And he's like, I already got it. And he slices them. That's like the best line of the whole movie. The reveal is awesome. Where he's just like, don't you remember your mother? And then Roman, it's still a nice monologue from him. And a nice motive how it all connects it back. And how he motivated Billy Loomis. Everyone knows the story. I really don't have to get into it. They've probably seen it about 10 times at this point. White Shadow's seen it probably like 20 times. Actually, he probably hates it, doesn't he? Don't you hate like all modern horror movies? And he ends up beating up Sidney though pretty good if you go back and watch it in detail. And he ends up slugging her in the face. It's pretty hilarious. Then he ends up getting stabbed, and you know, in the end he just ends up being a butthurt love child. And that pretty much sums it all up. The whole time you're watching it, at points it just feels surreal, like I can't even believe they all got back together to film this. And you're like, Wes Craven directed this too? Like, he probably was like offset and just let the cinematographers just like film these random nothing scenes. Anyway, I'm out. That's pretty much it for this slasher review.